Continuing my little miniseries on the 14th James Bond movie, A View to a Kill, which turns 40 in 2025. Early in the movie, Bond travels to Paris to meet up with a French detective called Aubergine to find out some information on the main villain of the film, Max Zorin. These scenes have always been near and dear to me as I visited the Eiffel Tower in 1986, a year after the film came out. And as a kid, it was extremely exciting to walk in the footsteps of James Bond. So I'll add some of my own memories as we go along. So we start off with the shot of the Eiffel Tower, and we have this young couple walking by the camera, almost like a curtain reveal. Also gives the image a nice composition with a foreground, middle ground and background. A zoom like this is not something we see often in film nowadays. In a modern movie, this probably would have been like a drone shot flying over Paris and closing in on the tower. So we cut to a restaurant on the second floor. Now back in '86, me and my family looked everywhere for this place and could not find it, which was extremely puzzling. You should know that the second floor of the Eiffel Tower is not that big. How was it possible to not find this place? I mean, what the actual crap? Well, turns out this was a set designed by Peter Lamont, built at Pinewood Studios in England. There was and still is an actual restaurant on the second floor called Jules Verne, maybe about half the size. We should also note that this shot is taken with a pretty wide angle lens, making everything look a little bigger. And we have another couple walking by the camera, leading us into the scene. It's a really beautiful shot scene, by the way, and I think that goes for the whole movie. Nothing overly stylized, just a really beautiful cinematic look. So here we have Bond and Aubergine talking about Zorin. Have you ever noticed when it comes to dinner scenes in movies that we hardly, if ever, see characters actually eat anything? It all has to do with practicalities in film production. First off, dialogue is hard to pronounce when you have food in your mouth. And the food will turn pretty bad after just a couple of hours, especially say meat or fish. And finally, even good-looking people tend not to look their best when they're eating. The lights are dimmed and a fabulous Dominique enters, doing some sort of dinner show with enchanted butterflies. Some nice special effects and editing here. If we look closely, most of the butterflies, probably just pieces of paper, just fly up and then sort of tumbles back down on the floor. I think there's just 2 of them that actually floats, but we cut away so fast that we get a sense that there's a whole lot of these things moving around the room. But if you look close, there's never more than 2 butterflies in the same shot. It's worth noting that in the screenplay there was actually 1 single butterfly, but obviously more of them were added in later when it came to shooting the scene. Just a little character moment here, setting up what's to come. Aubergine is smiling, more or less spellbound by the butterflies, unaware of his surroundings. But Bond is of course always alert, always analytical, and instantly figures out the trick as he spots a darkly clad man with some sort of fishing pole controlling the butterflies. Probably already sensing that danger is coming, although not quite sure how or when. And here we have the one shot of eating, and of course it's Aubergine. This particular spoon of soup is actually written into the script at this precise moment in the conversation, which is something you very seldom see in a screenplay. And in comes the assassin. We learn later that this is Zorin's henchwoman, Mayday, played by Grace Jones. And a chop, and down goes the butterfly special effects guy. Mayday swings around a poisonous butterfly and hits Aubergine. And of course this butterfly is yellow and black, colors we associate with danger. Some really cool practical effects here. I show the footage to some of my friends who are professional VFX artists, And it took us all quite a while to figure out how this effect was pulled off. We think what they did was to build a small prosthetic and attached it to actor John Glen and used some type of ultra-thin wire, then somehow got the butterfly to stick right on his cheek, possibly with some type of glue or magnet. That's our theory, at least.
There's a fly in his suit.
A little one-liner from Bond before it's time to chase after the assassin. So now we're back in the actual Eiffel Tower and Mayday runs up the stairs and Bond goes after. The stairwell between the second and third floor being sealed off from the general public was a thing in real life as well, at least in 1986. Bond catches up and there is a little bit of action. It's kind of hard to figure out exactly what's going on here. I think Mayday strikes Bond with the fishing pole and snares his ankles with the fishing line and then flings the pole upwards, almost knocking him over the railing. We should be aware that this staircase was really narrow, so what could be done when it came to staging a fight was really limited. Just behind the camera there are 2 huge lights as well and a lot of crew members. That's why there's a cut right here, because Roger just couldn't move any further up the stairs. So Mayday does the parachute jump off the top of the tower. This jump being performed by stuntman BJ Worth. Now, I've never done a parachute jump, and believe me, I'm not planning to either. But I know enough to realize how incredibly skilled and brave you have to be to perform something like this. If even the tiniest detail goes wrong, you're basically screwed. No time to open up a second parachute. You can actually see the little platform BJ used as he did the jump. It had to be there since the Eiffel Tower slopes outward, so he had to get as far away as possible from the actual structure. Nice stunt work here as well. I talked in the previous video about how this movie doesn't hide Roger's stunt doubles very well. But I think this is one occasion when the filmmakers get away with it. Just have the stuntman with his back towards the camera and we don't really question it. So Bond runs up to a cab driver, but the driver refuses to take him, so Bond throws him out. When I first saw this movie I found it odd. I mean, why would a cab driver flat out refuse to take a passenger? Well, turned out this little interaction actually seemed to have a little bit of real-world accuracy. As I mentioned, my family vacationed here in '86, and for whatever reason, a lot of cab drivers flat out refused to take passengers. I think it happened to us about 4 times, and as far as I remember, we didn't look particularly threatening, just your average, boring Swedish family. If any French people are watching this, let me know if things have changed. Or did we just have a run of bad luck when it came to choosing cab drivers? So, time for a car chase. Again with some really nice stunt work. Most of the driving being done by series regular Remy Julian. Keep in mind that there was no digital effects here, which makes things even more impressive. I mean, just look at this jump. These brave people are sitting directly underneath the Renault as it comes flying through the air. Shout out to you guys, whoever you are. We have some close-ups of Roger in the actual car, but sometimes it's kind of obvious it's not him driving. Some of it could have been fixed by just removing a couple of frames. The Renault 11, which Bond uses during this chase, was actually part of a huge promotional tie-in with Renault. Now, I spent a lot of years of my career filming for car companies, and the marketing departments were always really picky about how the cars were portrayed, down to the most minute detail. Now, with that in mind, I always found it funny how much abuse this car takes, and how insanely fragile it's made out to be. I mean, this other car, also a Renault by the way, takes the rear clean off. Not exactly a car you'd want to put your family members in, unless you really hated them, I suppose. In the comic book version and the screenplay, the Renault is hit by a truck, which I guess makes a little bit more sense considering the damage. Mayday lands on a boat going along the River Seine. Bond jumps on board, landing straight into a wedding cake. Ever noticed how weddings in Bond movies always tended to end in disaster? In Roger Moore's first Bond film, Live and Let Die, this poor couple had their big day ruined, and about 12 years later another couple had Bond crashing in. Marriage in Bond movies equaled despair. Didn't matter if it was Bond getting married, or his friends, or just random people, bad things would happen. The only wedding with kind of a happy outcome was Bond's marriage to a Japanese agent in You Only Live Twice. Although this was a fake wedding to provide Bond with a cover, so I'm not sure it counts. I'm not sure if this is the filmmakers trying to say something about marriage. Anyhow, Mayday gets picked up in a boat by Max Sorin and gets away, while Bond gets whisked away by some very angry chefs. In the next scene we see Bond leaving the police station together with M. Just a final note, in the movie M tells Bond that this little mini adventure cost 6 million francs in damages and penalties. In the screenplay it was actually just 600,000 francs. Guess the filmmakers felt that it just wasn't expensive enough, so added a zero. So what is your favorite part of A View to a Kill? Is it a particular scene or maybe one of the characters? Let me know below. And if you enjoyed the video, why not leave a like and a comment? And if you're really awesome, you can subscribe as well and maybe ring the bell.